Oh, Shamrock
Oh,
FC.
what's up, everybody? Just having a little chat before we started the show. Welcome to the MMA Mainstream Podcast. I'm James with my co-host Kaelyn. It's Friday. We're going to do this. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about UFC starting off, of course, because it's UFC. UFC happens almost every weekend. And when it doesn't, we're sad. But we're going to talk about it anyways. We're going to talk about last week with the UFC and the main event having Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes for the bantamweight bout. Pena won the belt and then lost the belt to a decision. You watched the fight. Tell us your thoughts.
I loved that fight. It was everything I wanted it to be, because what I was afraid of is it being a really fast finish on either side, but I enjoyed watching them exchange their strikes the way they did. It was so impressive. I was so impressed by Nunes. I wasn't sure about her because the last fight she got finished by Pena fairly quickly, I would say, but and you don't know when someone's been champion for that long and then they lose. You just don't know where they're at after that. But she came back better than ever, put on the best fight, one of the best fights, because Juliana Pena is a pretty good opponent. She's very, very tough. So it was like the perfect storm, I feel like. Amanda got all the motivation from that last loss, which I'm so happy she did, because I'd love to see people keep their belts. I say that all the time. So I'm glad she's back on top, and I think she showed that she belongs there for sure, because Gilliland is one of the toughest in that division, and if she could do that to her, and that's great. And I feel like you get more answers. I feel like you get more questions answered by watching a fight like that, rather than someone just getting knocked out really quick or subbed really quick. You get to see how far they can go, how tough they are.
Go through the motions of a fight.
For 5 rounds, you get to see what they're made of. That is the best way to watch the fight. I was so impressed, especially for a female fight. A lot of people get bored, but this one was crazy, and I was so impressed with Amanda Nunes, because she somehow found all the motivation to come back and we were talking about this earlier. They were saying that she said she could have finished her earlier if she wanted. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe. I think she was smart. Honestly, I don't know if that's a lie or not, but whether she was playing it smart or cocky, either way, it worked out great, because she was able to last for 5 rounds with that energy, with that punching power the entire time. She tagged Pena so many times. She knocked her down at least twice. I know that. She had her rocked, but man, Pena's so tough. She doesn't get knocked out. I'm convinced she doesn't get knocked out. Like, it's freaking crazy. Anyway, bottom line, Nunes proved herself. She deserves that belt. She still deserves that belt. Who knows what happened in that first fight? I don't know. She said she wasn't in it. I kind of believe that, because now you could tell she was in this last one, and I haven't seen her do that in a long time, because she had all these fast finishes, and rightfully so. But man, she can go 5 rounds and deliver that power also. That's crazy, and I love it. So I'm so glad that that's how that fight went. I'm glad.
Were you surprised that she hit 6 takedowns in that fight?
Yeah. She showed everything. It's crazy. Had an answer for everything. She's so tough. And Pena, I'm interested to see what happens with her next, because I still feel like she could beat the shit out of the rest of the girls in that division. So that'd be fun to watch.
She's going to be high in the division. It's just, who are they going to put her against next?
I don't even care, because I think she could obliterate most of those people there. Dude, she can't get knocked out. She took so many hits and would not, she got a knockdown. She did not get knocked out. She's so tough. So I'm interested in both of those girls. I'm glad that Nunes has her belt, and she deserved it. So that's all I gotta say about that. It was crazy, and I enjoyed watching that fight.
All right, now we're going to move on to Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France for the interim title.
Yeah. That That one was good. Dude, Kai Kara France is so good. I was really excited for this fight. But Brennan Moreno, dude, he's so tough too. What bothers me is this is an interim belt. I hate those.
Yeah, those.
And honestly, I need to look into it. I don't know why there was one. I don't know why there's an interim belt for this.
Well, I mean, Brandon's moment was kind of ruined because what's his name? Figueiredo was there.
Well, okay, so that's what I'm saying. What is wrong with him? Why is there an interim belt? But he's there watching.
It could possibly be an injury, which would mean a long layoff,
like a surgery. I don't know. I have to look into it.
But they didn't. It's whatever Dana White wants to do.
Clearly, yeah.
He loves everyone having a belt and unifying it.
He pulled that shit in the heavyweight division when he did that. When he did that to Francis. So I don't know. I don't know why that was the situation. I don't like it. Brandon Moreno is good. He deserves everything. It's just I don't like interim belts. So
yeah, I agree.
I don't know. And then I felt like I was watching WWE. And you remember when Brock Lesnar walked into the cage like that? I forgot who he was talking to. DC. Oh, he pushed DC a long time ago. I felt like
DC kind of had the pro wrestling mentality to an extent.
Yeah.
And Brock Lesnar just happened to be there.
Right. No. And I think that's the only 2 times that has ever happened. Someone actually enters the octagon. And you know, yeah. I don't know. Dana White was saying rude.
I've seen it a lot. Like you have a fight that happens and you know it's like a number 1 contendership type, and then afterwards they'll bring in the opponent to do kind of
hey man, that's
preview.
That's not a bad idea. I think it could get out of control really quickly doing that, and it gave me WWE vibes.
Very true.
So I don't know. Apparently, it wasn't planned. It just happened. And they were civil, but the only reason why they were civil is because Brennan Moreno was so nice.
Right.
How are you gonna like?
Numerous,
what are you gonna do? Go in there and assault him? Like he was so nice. So they ended up shaking hands, which was a little awkward because I think Figueiredo wanted something else. But hey, man, he never. That wasn't planned.
He was ready to go, probably.
No, he was. But I'm like, it's kind of like, bitch, what are you doing over there with the belt when you can't fight?
Just like that, because he's looking pretty flashy.
I just don't have the information as to why there's had to be an interim belt. If this dude's fine, he's probably not fine. I got to find out why. But I was confused. Whatever. They made a spectacle of it. Fine. Great fight, though. That's for sure.
I'm saddened that fan favorite Derek Lewis lost in the first round by TKO knockout. Like
that was weird. Like we were talking about it earlier. It was, to me, it was an early. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, that was so early. It was. He didn't look great because he got hit hard and he was going backwards. So of course that doesn't look good. But he wasn't out. And he even protested right away, so then you knew he wasn't out. So I'm like, ugh. At hometown, home state, whatever you want to call it, I think that they should have let it go longer. I think Dana White said so too. Huh?
You think it jinxed him?
I don't know why it happens to happen to him in Texas all the time, but someone like Derek Lewis, I think the ref should know to maybe give him a shot, give him a couple more seconds to stand up because he did, but he already called it. So, man, I wanted to see him fight so bad. We don't get to see him enough, I feel like. So I was upset. I think it was an early stoppage. Everyone else has their own opinion.
I feel like that's been kind of the common consensus about that.
He was so short. That's why. I mean, yeah, but
maybe his balls were hot.
No, but I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's Derek Lewis, so let's be honest. Like his next fight, he's going to demolish whoever he fights.
Well, that's what I want to see.
Usually the case. Like he gets a loss, but then when he comes back, he's a monster.
Well, he was doing, yeah. I was impressed by him a while back when, because he's such a knockout artist, right? Heavyweights usually are. But man, I don't know why, but he got so agile for a while. Like he had some back issues or something. Something happened where that's all fixed. I think he said he lost weight. Maybe that was the issue.
And he probably saw a chiropractor.
Oh, probably something. Or maybe he had surgery. But he was so agile. Like, he even did some flying knees. It was insane for Derek Lewis to do. But
now, what did you think about Sergey Pavlovich? Because he came out,
he's tough.
Game opponent.
He's tough. This is the reason why I'm kind of mad it ended so fast, because you knew this was going to be a crazy fight if it still went on. I wanted to see more. Both of them have that so much power, so I wanted to see more of it. He just happened to clip him, and then when you clip someone and you realize you clipped him, so you go, you throw 2 or 3 more punches, and that's what happened. So I didn't get to, watching that fight, it's not like I could say I learned a lot about Sergey. I don't. It's a heavyweight bout. It's kind of hard to judge. You never know. What is he, number 11? I don't know where he goes from here or who he fights. So.
All right. And then I'm going to make short order of this. Alex Perez lost. That's who I was rooting for.
Yeah.
I'm sad because I'm a huge Perez fan. I mean, local guy, know him. He's a good dude. So I was sad to hear that he didn't pull out the victory. Moving on.
And then
Anthony Smith, that fight ended, and apparently he was injured in that bout.
Apparently. I don't know.
I'm not a doctor.
Like I said earlier, next thing I know, he's on the ground and it's over. And I didn't catch what happened, but apparently he broke his leg, and I don't know where. Or so. Oh, you know what it was? He threw a kick. I think. Was that it? Was that the fight?
All I know is
I don't remember.
Look at Magomed, fear the beard.
Yeah. Should.
Yeah, plain.
But man, I gotta tell you, when Anthony Smith is on the card, I'm like, I don't care, man. I've seen this guy get beat up so many times.
You feel, because of how you feel, is that because he's lost so many times?
Yeah. Well, what kind of like pissed me off is because there was so many times where they hype him up, and we literally just went and watched him die every time. I don't know if you remember the Teixeira fight. Glover Teixeira, he literally knocked his teeth out. Before that, he fought John Jones and got the shit beat out of him as well. So that's kind of like 2 or 3 in a row where he didn't win. And I'm like,
he's at a certain level, but he hasn't been able to hit that apex.
Okay, but and that bothers me too, only because I don't know enough about Anthony Smith. Because when he fought John Jones, that was like the first time I even really knew who he was. I'm like, who's this guy? Apparently he was in the rankings. I didn't know. But then when everyone hyped him up, I'm like, what was the big deal? I've seen him get his ass beat 3 times in a row. I don't understand, So whenever he fights and loses, I'm like, okay, I haven't seen anything different from him to make me really root for him. So I don't know what's next for him. I don't know how bad his injury is. But we'll see. I think what happened is he went to go kick, and the kick looked fine, but when he stepped back, something happened. I want to say maybe it was a knee. It's got to be a knee issue, I think, maybe. I don't know. They said he broke his leg. I just don't know where. But anyway, I'm like, okay. I'm kind of still waiting to see him do something good. You know what I mean?
You might be waiting a while since he's injured.
And that's that. It's like, okay, I'm kind of going to forget about it. He's great on, he commentates. He's great at that. That's cool. But man, as far as fighting,
I feel like a lot of fighters that have a little bit of personality that do that kill it every time.
Oh, when they can talk, it's great, because I'd much rather listen to fighters that are currently on the roster than like Stephen A. Smith.
Let's be honest. Stephen A. Smith is not. He doesn't care about the world of MMA in the way that we do, or in the way that a fight fan does.
On there that doesn't
so
care.
I don't give a flying if he's ever on a UFC.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
I appreciate Joe Rogan. I love Michael Bisping.
Yes,
I could not stand him, but now as a fighter, I couldn't stand him because of the way he was cocky. And then after Dan Henderson knocked him out, I feel like there was a twist. Something changed. And I appreciate him so much now. I love him on commentary. He's great.
He's
DC. I like DC.
He is very knowledgeable. He knows
Yes.
He knows what he's talking about, but it also kind of bugs me because sometimes I'm like, dude, just call the fight. Shut up. Because what he'll go into, he's like, well, this guy, he should be doing this. He needs to put his leg over there. It's like, why don't you just call what's actually happening? You're saying too much.
Well, the
It's
thing
like,
is, he's the voice of experience.
I know, and that's great that he's that smart, but I'm like, don't tell him what this guy should do. Let me know what he is doing at, real time. So that was the only issue I have with DC, because he might say a little too much, where I'm like, say less.
I understand that, because when I'll watch the fights with one of my best friends, we'll sit there and watch it, and I'll be like, let's be honest, folks, whoever's watching that knows me, I have limited jiu-jitsu ability, but I have a certain understanding of it that most people don't. Mm-hmm. And so when I see what he's doing, I'm always going to transition to this, and I would say it out loud, and then he did it, and then Joe would say it. I'd be like, thanks, Joe, for looking out.
Right, because you get that confirmation. You're like, I know what I'm talking about.
Like, well,
but yeah, I just think DC should say a little less. He's very smart. He's a great coach, I just wish he wouldn't get into what a fighter should be doing, but just let me know what he is doing and what's going on, because I don't know. But that's my only complaint.
The fighter win the fight.
I'm like, are you saying that to where they can hear you or what?
Right.
And people, I don't know. Have you noticed lately people are bagging on him because he's so biased with the fighters that are in there, because they come from his gym or even just his area code.
Doesn't everybody in San Jose train at AKA? I thought that was what you did. If you live there,
I believe
that's
so.
Where you go train.
It makes sense. Yeah. I forgot, but there was like a petition for him to not commentate a fight that's coming up, because I think a lot of AKA guys are on there, and they're like, it's going to be so biased. Don't put him on there.
It is what it is. Put Bisping in there with him. He'll rile him up.
Bisping can always be there. He's so good. Like solid. He's great. He's so funny. He's one of my favorite guys now.
Same.
I used to hate him. When I didn't know that much about him. When I learned his story and all that, I'm like, oh, I love this guy. He's funny. He went through the ringer. He only has literally one eye for the longest time.
That was crazy when I learned
he managed to kick ass after that.
And he was still able to be a champion.
Yeah, there's so much respect there. You have to respect him. And he's in the Hall of Fame. He got everything that he deserves. So I think he should be on whatever card he wants to be on. I love listening to him. He's funny. He knows a lot too. Him and DC are good together, I think.
I think that they're an interesting mix.
Yeah. When you have just one of those guys, it's interesting. So,
All right, let's go ahead and move it on. We have a fight this weekend. Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill.
Man, Thiago Santos. I was really high on this guy for a while. And then I forgot how good he was because I saw some highlights of the previews of this fight, when they advertise and stuff. I'm like, dude, this guy's great. He's great. And no one remembers it. He lost to John Jones, and I think everyone fell off the bandwagon when that happened. But did you know he tore literally every ligament in one of his legs during that fight and still put up a fight?
You know what? Props to him for that.
Tough. Right. Tough. And then I think from then on, ever since that fight, he's had some ups and downs. So I'm like, man, I'm always rooting for him. So I watched those highlights. I'm like, oh man, he is really good. I think people forgot.
Now you have Thiago Santos, who's 22-10 versus Jamal Hill, who's 10-1 and 1 no contest.
Well,
honestly, let's be real. Let's look at this. We have Thiago Santos, who's ranked number 6. Hill is ranked number 10. You look at the fight records. Santos has the experience,
right?
And let's look at their physiques. I know that doesn't.
I know.
But honestly, due to experience, I would take Santos because that's my overall.
You should on paper. You should take him.
But when I look at how he looks compared to Hill, I would take Santos, and that's just based off looks.
I know, but Jamal Hill's very good. He's coming up.
I'm going to take Hill because I like the thumbs up on his tattooed on him.
So funny. So Jamal Hill, I believe, came from the Contender Series. I saw him on there, and I've always kind of followed him after that. He's done really good. Jamal Hill. No, maybe I'm mixing him up with Jalen Turner. I think that's who I'm mixing him up with. They could have both came from there, to be honest. But Jamal Hill is good. He's very active too. And Thiago Santos, I'm rooting for him. He should win. So we'll see what happens. If he doesn't win, I'd be surprised.
If he doesn't win, I wonder if that's going to cause his career to backslide even more.
I think it'll be a deciding. What is he ranked now? Number 6?
Number 6.
He'd probably drop a few spots, I think. Depending on his contract, how many fights he has left, where he's at in life.
True.
I don't know. We'll see.
We have Vicente Luque versus Jeff Neal.
2 good guys. Jeff Neal's good. Vicente Luque is always good too. I don't know what to say about this one. I don't even know who to pick. I on paper, you should pick Vicente Luque. He's fought some of the toughest guys already. Jeff Neal has been around for a long time too. Man, I don't know. Looking at the rankings, they're pretty far apart.
They are.
It
was kind of like that with the Santos fight too. The rankings weren't exactly close.
I mean, what do you do after so many times where you got to have these matchups because you make something happen out of these matchups? Like, say Jeff Neal wins, he's all the way down there and he moves up. That gives him the opportunity to fight all those other guys in the upper rankings. And then, you get thrown in the mix and it makes things a little interesting because I feel like when they have these matchups where you have one of the top 5, top 6, 7 guys fighting, number 14, number 15, number 10, it's like that is trying, you're trying to make something happen with the guys that you have. And I like that. That's always interesting because you get a new look on either of the fighters. You're either going to verify Vicente Luque and he is where he's supposed to be, or you're like, oh, holy shit, Jeff Neal's good. Let's move him up, Well,
what do you think about fighters that are like, no, I don't want to fight anybody that's below me?
That I think at a certain point, like say you're in the rankings, I think when you're number 10 and lower, I don't think you have the right to really say much about that. Depending on your record and how, if you got a win streak going, sure. I think the guys that have the right to be picky are top 5, and from 6 down, you could be a little picky, but you can't be that picky because you're not in the top 5. Top 5 is solid. Top 5 is like the best of the best. They can be picky because their rankings depend on it. And if you're lower, I feel like you get a chance like this. This guy is, 12, 13? I can't really see. You get matched up with 6. It's like you still have that option to be matched up with ranked fighters. Might not be who you want, but you're not top 5. I don't think you have that right to choose like that,
Gotcha. I completely understand.
That's how I feel. I don't know what those guys think.
Could be right. I mean, who knows? That's interesting to see those such rankings that are so far apart. I mean,
and that, when it gets down to like number 15
with this Luque and Neal, but then you have 6 and 10 with Santos and Hill.
Well, that's right. So I said top 5. He happens to be number 6. You're gonna fight the guys that are lower, unless you're on a win streak and
then that's when you get to move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. And then we have Muhammad Usman. I believe he's the younger brother of Kamaru Usman.
Yep.
8-2. And for those who don't know, there is a local California tie-in. I mean, that's a lot of our viewership is probably mostly Central California because that's where we're based out of. Mm-hmm. He actually competed in his first 3 fights at Tachi Palace, where he won them all.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And yeah, it was awesome to see because he's a big dude.
He is big.
Huge.
I wouldn't have guessed. I mean, I kind of watched the Ultimate Fighter first half, I would say. And I saw the name Usman. I'm like, is it? Like, oh yeah, because they had Kamaru all over there too, helping him out and talking to him or whatever. And he'd always talk about his brother.
He's been here at Tachi and was in the gold corner. Yep.
That's so interesting.
I want to say before he was the champ. I think I could be wrong.
Probably. I don't know where the timeline falls on that, but yeah, and he made it, man. He was on Ultimate Fighter. He's gotten to this point, so this is. Maybe we have something here. Maybe we have a lineage going on here.
Cool.
It's so funny because he's way bigger and he looks older.
Which is funny because I say he's bigger, yet they say his height is 6 feet. I'm like, I'm.
How tall is Kamaru?
I don't know.
Maybe they're the same. He's a little.
He's a big dude though. So
No, it is heavyweight. So
especially at 8-2, and then 6-0.
yeah.
I got to go with Usman. Come
Oh,
on,
I
man.
got you.
I've seen him fight live, so I'll
Yeah,
take the guy that I've seen compete. Why
for
not?
sure. And also, I love Kamaru Usman. You got to root for his brother, so we'll see. He'll probably be in his corner, which will be cool.
All right, then we have the female fight. One of the female fights on the main card. Am I pronouncing this correctly? Brogan.
I believe so, but like I said,
Brogan.
I lost track of those episodes like about halfway through the season. So Juliana Miller, I don't remember anything significant about her, but I mean, they got to be tough to make it this far. He really do. So maybe there's something there. These two. Can't say who. Looks like Brogan's a little more experienced. But we'll see. I think Miller's a little scrappy, so I don't know.
I feel like Brogan. I feel like her dad is actually Hulk Hogan, and we just don't know it.
Like you would like to think that, huh?
I'd like to think that with Brogan.
Who was his daughter? Who didn't she have like her own show for a while?
Brooke Hogan. Close enough.
That's funny. Brooke Hogan.
Exactly.
It's like both.
And then you have Juliana Miller, who looks like pretty sure her boyfriend deals meth.
Maybe.
It's just the look. Sorry. Pretty sure she's from Florida too. That's just me being mean, folks. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
That's true. Yeah.
I would give the advantage Walker.
We'll see.
Yeah, I just go based off the experience factor.
Brogan Walker does have more experience. Yeah, I'll have to pick her just based off the record. Yeah.
Because 3-1, already getting
it's hard.
Big opportunity.
It's hard to pick when they both have their debut. It's hard,
Yeah, because you don't know what you're going to get from them.
Yeah.
Very true. And of course, there are other fights on this card.
Oh, Augusto Sakai and Sergey Spivak. Something like that. I know both of those guys are good. I think that might be a good one.
It looks like a heavyweight bout based on their weights. Let me double check.
No, yeah, they're heavyweights.
Yeah, big boys.
Augusto Sakai is a beast though, but so is Sergey. So this one, I think someone's getting knocked out in this one, so that's exciting. We'll see.
Well, Sakai's
pretty close.
Sakai's ranking is up for grabs because Spivak isn't ranked.
Right, and
so Sergey gets the win.
Yeah,
pushes them into the rankings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he would at least take his spot at 14.
Yeah, and Sakai is coming off a loss, so he's going to be determined. And they have similar records.
They do.
Only a few fights advantage for Sakai. Oof, I don't even want to call this one.
I don't know. They're both beasts, to be honest. Though their fights are always exciting, I feel like. So I don't know. I guess I'll just pick one, just to pick one in this situation. Augusto. I'll go.
That's who I pick as well.
I honestly like both of them. They're both good.
I'm picking him based off of the ranking and the. It's only one more fight win, but based off that.
Yeah.
All right. Now that is, do you want to talk about this other female fight?
I mean, I don't have anything that stands out about either of these girls that I really remember or root for. Ariana Lipski has been around for a while. So has Priscilla. They're both good. I know they're both good fighters. I think it'll just be.
Do you think it'll be an exciting fight?
No, I don't think so.
Well,
but they gotta fight. They gotta fight. So you have to You have to fight. We'll see this. Maybe this is their chance to show something great and make someone remember them,
True. Hey, what's crazy is Zombie Girl, Priscilla, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name, from Brazil. Mm-hmm. She looks like a female version of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, gosh.
Which is crazy because that ties in to what we're
I'm going to pick Priscilla. I've been thinking about this actually in the last 30 seconds. I'm like, because I've seen her fight before. She's tough. Ariana Lipski, I've seen her fight maybe a couple times. I'm going to go for Priscilla.
All right, I will go against the grain with you and pick Lipski. Okay. But now we're going to move on because talking about female Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to talk about male Jake Gyllenhaal, who will be in the Roadhouse reboot with Conor McGregor. That's the big MMA tie-in.
Interesting.
Conor McGregor will be in it as well. To what capacity, we don't know. These are just the people that have been announced for said film.
Mhm.
Ronda Rousey was actually attached at one time to be in the movie when they were considering doing a reboot, but clearly years later, it never came into fruition.
Yeah. I've seen her. I remember seeing her in the Fast and Furious. I don't know what number. Who knows what number it was.
It was awful. I remember that. It was all bad.
It was a little cheesy.
Yeah.
You know, she was like some bodyguard and
Yeah.
Where were they?
No.
Dubai or Abu Dhabi?
Yes. It was one of them, but I remember that.
She was a
all
bodyguard
bad,
for
came in
some...
and was just like, "Argh."
Yeah.
I think she even made that noise.
Yeah.
Just little grunts. Argh.
Yeah.
Yeah, all bad. But having Jake Gyllenhaal, he's, from what I've understood so far of it, he's going to play a former MMA fighter turned bouncer. So,
okay.
As a huge fan of the original Roadhouse,
yeah,
will I watch this? Yes.
Yeah.
Will I like it?
We don't know.
I like bad movies, so I might really enjoy it.
You like bad movies.
I think Jake Gyllenhaal
is right up your alley.
Voice. Yeah, it is. I feel like hearing about this. Like, Jake Gyllenhaal is a good actor, and he's starred in quite a few good movies. But I feel like this has such the idea of going straight to video.
Could be great. I don't know.
It could be, and I want to know who Conor McGregor is going to play, because or is he just this star name? And he just walks by, like
he's just like someone like causes trouble and then leaves for the rest of the film, or is he a character?
He knows Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's like, "Hey, buddy," and then just walks off. Like all the cameos we got, and Here Comes the Boom.
I bet they fight each other in that movie.
Probably. And Jake Gyllenhaal is going to need to rip out his throat, like Patrick Swayze did to Marshall Teague, who I follow on Twitter, in the original Roadhouse. That I've understood that part was filmed either in Sanger or Reedley.
Oh, no way.
But I'm pretty sure it was filmed in Sanger. Yeah, that's also another Valley connection to, or Central California.
Now that you say that, I'm like, probably. I'm like, okay, that's strange, but I see it.
Yeah. When they were scouting locations, that was one of them they used. Now it's somebody's farm, so you can't go access the area. But yeah, because the people have done stories on it. I mean, it's Roadhouse. The original Roadhouse has a huge cult following.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to be one of them. But what they do with this remains to be seen, because this has just been announced recently. Jake Gyllenhaal, you know what? I believe he's going to pull it off. If for those who saw Southpaw,
it's an interesting combo.
He got into really phenomenal shape. Yeah. And looked really good as a boxer with major issues. Right. So I'm quite curious to see how this goes. I'm looking forward to it in a twisted way. If it sucks, I mean,
yeah, that movie was all right. It was all right. I think I watched it twice. It was pretty good, pretty decent for boxing.
Roadhouse is great.
I was talking about Southpaw, but yeah, for sure. But
come on, keep up.
Well, I was thinking about Jake Gyllenhaal. I'm like, he was pretty good in that movie. He did pretty good. Another one that's kind of underrated was, have you seen Hands of Stone?
I love that movie.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was a really well done movie.
Yeah, not bad.
All right, so we'll see what happens with McGregor. I hope that in the movie he drops a fook. I just think it'd be funny. That's all.
Right. No, watch he has an American accent. That'd be funny. That would be hilarious.
The remake reportedly will shoot in the Dominican Republic, which will double for the Florida Keys. So this takes place in Florida. I don't know how I feel about that, because the original took place, I believe, in Missouri. Yeah, the original version was set in Missouri, and yet they used different scouting locations for it. But the Keys, I feel like that's too obvious.
That's interesting.
Somebody needs to be running coke or doing coke.
Yeah.
There needs to be a stripper somewhere.
Yeah.
Like everything about Florida that's bad, I feel like is going to be involved in this movie.
It has to be. Why not?
We shall definitely see about that. Yeah. Now to something more serious. Cain Velasquez pleads not guilty to charges, including attempted murder.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
we've been talking about this as updates have come out, and it looks like
Yeah, and I was saying that that's interesting because you plead not guilty. That means you want to go to trial, which, I believe the verdict is obvious. He attempted murder, and unfortunately, it's pretty obvious. Going to a jury, I don't know what kind of advantage they're going for. Sympathy, yeah, for sure. But does that get you out of the charge that you actually committed?
It depends on how if they go to a jury trial. I mean, let's be real. Everyone knows I'm not a
you're going to be
lawyer.
playing that sympathy card hard.
He's not going to play that hard.
That's all you got. And, as a fan of Cain Velasquez, I would give him that sympathy for sure.
So everyone knows that the reason why he did it was more justified than anything. Was it right? Legally, no. Legally, no.
Hey, you know what? People have gotten out of charges doing the same exact thing. This father, I believe, got out of the entire thing for beating a man to death. Or no, not to death. He lived, but very messed up. He went to prison, obviously. But the father that tried to beat up this guy got away with it because they felt bad. They let him go. They felt bad, So you could play
Was that premeditated though? Because this felt more premeditated. This was
nope. It wasn't. It was he walked in on the situation and handled it himself.
That's I feel like the difference, because
that is the difference.
What I get from this is Cain Velasquez not necessarily planned it, but was like, I'm going to get this guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I still don't blame him. I don't.
Oh, I don't at all.
But when you go to court, it is what it is.
Exactly. That's
so sad. So I think it's admirable what he did, because everyone else likes to say they would do that too, and it's rightfully so.
But he did it.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you got to go to court, and the facts are the facts. Can't change the facts.
Update you people with.
I wonder, but I don't think it's a matter of guilty or not guilty. I think it's a matter of his sentence. Maybe he can get a light sentence for the situation. For the sympathy.
He's in prison, or in jail, I should say. I don't know if he's in prison. He's in jail. So you would, right? That time he's already serving would be also added to if he has a sentence, or that where he has to serve time.
Yeah, that makes me, I just thought of this right now. That makes me very curious. I wonder what his sentence will be, being that we know he did the crime. I wonder how much sympathy he can get out of the jurors, and how that affects the judge and the sentencing, and who the judge is. That's pretty important too, unfortunately, but we'll see. They denied his bail. I don't even blame them. I don't even blame them for that, because I feel like, he's going to go do it again, that he's set on it, So
I want to know how he is in jail. Like, do people know who he is? Like, is he like,
probably,
does he have a certain level of respect that people don't mess with him?
I mean, they can try. It's not going to end up very well for them.
That's true. You know what they say? If the brown pride don't fit, you must have quit. Boom.
He does have that tattooed on him, which
I know.
Okay.
Wow.
I guess you made your choice there, So I don't know. I'm hoping for a light sentence for him. That would be great. We never know, though.
All right. Also going on, Aljamain Sterling is offering up some helpful advice for Sean O'Malley to frustrate Petr Yan with his footwork.
Oh, okay. Or maybe just ride on his back for the whole fight. Whatever.
Yeah, like, hey, the human backpack giving advice about footwork. Huh. Interesting. We were talking about this before the show just to do a little bit of prep. And O'Malley, what I've gotten from him is he's a guy who will pick apart his opponent and just pick at him and wear him out.
The ones that he's had so far.
Yes.
It's not like he has an undefeated record, though, either. That's why I don't think this is a good matchup for him.
I wonder if that style will work. I think he has to avoid Yan, because Petr Yan, you said it earlier, he's a bull. Like, he comes at you. He just goes.
He's a bulldozer, and he doesn't stop. Yeah.
That's it.
I think you would have to play the ground game to evade any of that stuff. So we'll see. And I don't think O'Malley, when I think of O'Malley, I don't think of a wrestler or, Jiu-jitsu
No,
star.
I do think his footwork will be important because if
you're going to stand up with the guy,
if he can catch O'Malley with angles and not dead ahead, he might be able to put in his game plan, but we haven't seen that be successful, at least yet.
It's too early for this guy, but hey, whatever. Make something crazy happen once in a while. It's pretty interesting. I am surprised Dana White agreed to that. It's so interesting.
So we shall see. It's still a fight that I want to see, the O'Malley versus Yan fight. Very curious. And then also Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw.
Yes, I love those two fights. That'll be... Well, if O'Malley somehow pulls it off, where does he go from there? He's not going to fight number one for the champion. I think he'll still hang around there in the top 5, and
I believe so.
I don't know. I don't think it's a good fight for him at all. Not smart, but we'll see.
That we shall. And you know what? That's going to do it for us. I think that's pretty good stuff going on this weekend. Yeah. Check out the UFC Fight Night, of course. And that's going to do it for us here at the MMA Mainstream Podcast. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time.